Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Love Bay Radio Show. Uh, Here with Dr. Maria MacDonald and myself, Dr. Alvin Hepburn, and this is the Relationship and Marriage Hour. And thank you again for joining us during this time. We have something exciting we want to talk about today, as we do every week. And we hope that you and your significant other, your spouse, your better half, as people say, uh, that you are enjoying our talk shows and that you are being blessed. Let me welcome Dr. MacDonald. Dr. MacDonald, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Good, good, good. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks. This
Okay,
is a
good,
beautiful
good,
day.
good. Yes. Well, what we want to do today, we want to talk about, um, for the next hour, we want to talk about the cost of relationship or even marriage. When I look around, um, it seems like people don't value relationships and marriage, and that could be why they jump in and out of them so frequently. And I think though that they are forgetting the the fact that you have to pay for it. There is something you have to put in. If I could use as a backdrop this story, this biblical story that is said that King David, former king of Israel, he had sinned, and after he had sinned, the Lord started killing the men of war, and David had to go and repent for the sins that he had committed. And he came up upon this man who had a threshing floor. And David then asked the man if he could purchase the threshing floor from him. And the man looked at him and said, "Listen, you are a king. Everything is yours, basically. If you want it, you can have it." And David said to the man, "No, no, no. I have to pay you for it because I dare not offer something to the Lord that costs me nothing."
Wow.
And I think that
Powerful.
principle, yes, I
Yes.
think that principle talk is one of the things that is missing in this generation or even the previous generation, that was not there in my parents or grandparents generation here in Nassau, Bahamas, or in the Bahamas and at large, is that you had to pay a price. And I'm not talking money, but I'm talking about sweat and tear. I'm talking about investing yourself. You have to pay a price to get the relationship and the marriage that you had. So it was hard to leave them because you know you had invested so much. What is your take on that? And then let's start talking about that today.
That is a true statement because we often use the term nothing in life is free. So
Yes.
I'm saying that because if you want a good relationship, you have to pay that price. It comes with a cost. The cost is not money, but it's what you're willing to put in it. How much
Yes.
to you it's worth. Because if
Uh-huh.
usually people do not like to buy anything that is considered cheap. Now you have some people
Mhm.
they feel the cheap is just as good, but there are some people believe that if I'm going to get something good, I'm going to spend my money for it. So it's the same thing with the relationship. If
Mhm.
it's worth anything to you, paying the price for it will not
Mhm.
that will not be an issue. You will pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And even piggybacking of what you just said, that people don't want to buy cheap things, but doc, people want expensive things, but they won't pay little for it.
That too. That is so true. That
And
is why
and I don't know. Yeah, go on, go on.
No, that is why there's problems, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I
we want.
remember back yeah. I remember back in the day when we would go shopping. I don't know if you used to do this. My family, we used to hit the flea market, and our thing with hitting the flea market was you could bargain them
Yes,
down to what you want. But if you went to
yes.
the mall, the price was the price.
The price was the price. That's it. Wow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's powerful. That is powerful. And if usually if you buy something and it's cheap, there is no value placed on that thing. If, for example, if it's a piece of clothing, you will wear that around anywhere, maybe even in the yard. We I don't know about you, but in growing up, there's a clothes for going out, there was a clothes for church, there was a clothes
Clothes
for
for
the yard.
yard clothes.
Okay, so
Yes,
if we
yes.
spend worth something worthwhile on that clothing, that's not worn in the yard. That's not worn. It's worn when you're going out and you dress it up.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if you buy cheap, then you're going to give cheap or you're going to receive
Yes.
cheap.
Hmm. Hmm. That is so true. That is so true. But the thing, though, Doc, is that when I look at, and from my counseling of many people in the Bahamas and even around the world, when I look at the relationship that they tell me that they want an expensive relationship, for lack of a better word or phrase. They want an expensive relationship, but they trying to get it on the cheap. But
That's
they
the
want to
problem.
pay a cheap price.
Yes,
And that's a major problem
that's
if
the
you
problem.
want a healthy and a good relationship and marriage.
Yes, and that's like, let's use a car for example, a Lamborghini. You want to
Oh,
pay,
wow.
you want to pay for a Lamborghini, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. What you would pay for a little, what do you call it, a cheaper, a
Toyota,
little car, a Toyota or
a
one of the,
little note.
right.
Yeah.
Like my grandson said to me, he said, "Mommy, I'm going to buy you a Lamborghini." I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "How much you going to pay for that though?" $1. I don't know where he's going to get that from. So
Yes,
if
yes.
you want a Lamborghini, you have to pay for it, and that's our
So true.
relationship as well.
And then yes. And even push the envelope that we could be, because we coming back to that. But while we here, let's just throw this here. I When I moved to St. Louis, Missouri, and I was getting married, my wife said, well, my future wife at the time, Tanya, said to me, Alvin, we're going to be married when I move there. You've already been there for about 2 years. When I get there, we're going to need our transportation that we can go around. So I had to go look for a car. One of the brothers in the church that I went to came up to me, and he had an Infinity vehicle that he was selling. Oh my lord! And I love the Infinity brand. And I was like, oh yeah, the price that he offered me for that Infinity. Listen, it was a steal of a deal. It was like I was stealing the car from him.
Wow.
And I went to talk with another brother in the church who I took on to be, because he was like a father figure to me in St. Louis. And I said to him, "This brother in the church is offering me his Infinity. I didn't been in it. Is stick shift. Oh, and I like standing shift. So and he had me driving around the block and everything. I said, man, I can see myself in this, and this is how much he wants me to pay for the car. I think that's an excellent deal." And my father figure said to me, he said, Alvin, that is an excellent deal. You can't beat that anywhere with a stick. But my advice to you, son, is not to buy that car. I said, why? Is there something wrong with it? He said, no. that car is running at tip-top shape, but you should not buy that car. So I asked him why. He said, because when it comes to maintaining that car, you don't have the money and the know-how to keep it and to maintain it. Because when
Wow.
you take that, you can't take that car to every Joe Blow to say fix this or get it. No, you have to get the manufacturer parts because this
Wow.
is a high-end car. It's gonna cost you high-end money to maintain it. And
Wow.
people think that, Doc, because they have money to pay for a wedding, that's all it takes.
Oh no.
But it's a lot more than that. It's the maintenance of that
The maintenance.
relationship. And that's what we're talking about, the cost of the
That's right.
relationship, the cost of the
That's right. And for the marriage, then the maintenance include love, all of the things that is expected in a relationship, the sacrifices. What are we going to give in a relationship? That's the maintenance. That is where we
yeah.
hit the problem because
Yes.
persons being single for so long, now you have to share everything, and everything has to be
Mm,
done as one between two people. That is the
yes.
challenge. Now, if we can't maintain or keep live up to that marriage, to that relationship, it's better not get married, right? It's better for you to wait until you are mature because maturity has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do because you
Mm,
in when we get into that relationship, we have to be willing to sacrifice. There may be times
whew,
your spouse may want something, and then you may not be prepared to do it. You may not be ready to do it, or you may be doing something else. Are you willing to sacrifice your time, your money, everything to maintain that relationship?
wow. You said the bad word for the day,
I know.
Doc. Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Yes.
We want things, but we don't want to sacrifice for it. And as I
No.
was thinking, about this and us talking about it, that word came to me, sacrifice. And I said,
Yes.
isn't it so strange how we sacrifice for other people and for other things? Like you sacrifice to get your education,
Yes.
you sacrifice to get that job. Now you're on the job and your boss is asking you to work overtime and to do other stuff, and you sacrifice for all of that. But when it comes to your marriage or your relationship, you can't make no sacrifice.
No. No.
And ain't nobody can tell you what to do. Well, how
Exactly.
come they can tell you what to do on your job? Mind you, on your job, they even tell you how to dress
Okay.
on some of these jobs.
Yes.
But if your spouse come to you and say, "Boy, I don't like you wearing that," then that's hell. You raise
Yes.
hell. Who's you? I's my
Uh-huh.
own person. You can't tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Where that
Exactly.
come from? Yeah,
Uh, it's
yeah. But
it's not the
go
big
on.
things all the time. It's some of those little small
Yes.
things. Small things. You will find that a marriage is broken up for us or for that person, a small matter
Uh-huh.
because
Uh-huh.
uh, one spouse do not want to change or to sacrifice. They prefer to give up a marriage because they do not wish to sacrifice or to please their spouse
Yeah.
by the sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it
Which is
brings up
so
the
sad.
question. It is sad. Then it brings up the question, why did you marry? And that's where pre-counseling come in because we need to know
Yeah.
when these people come together to say we want to be married. Why do you want to get married? And
Hmm.
what will be the thing? Because you're going to have problems. Because if you don't know why, or you're getting married for the wrong reason, then that's why there's no sacrifices.
Yeah, yeah. And then too, Doc, these persons from this new generation, they know very little sacrifice.
Oh yes.
Think about it. Think about it. On
Yes.
on on the and this is something that I'm being cautious with even now, Doc, is
Yeah.
everything that I went through, all those hard times that I went through in in my upbringing. I say, boy, I want my children to have to suffer like that.
Mm.
So here I am wanting to make it better for them.
No, watch that.
But what I realized, thank you very much, and that's where I'm going. What I realized though is that Alvin, you are who you are because of the struggles and
That's
because of the hardship that you went
that's right.
through.
That's right. It made you.
Yeah. So deprive your children from the hardships because that will help to mold them into productive and resourceful and reliable human beings.
Yes. Yes.
And but because of that, this generation wants marriage handed to them in a platter. Because what
Honestly.
they see is they see you and your husband enjoying life, but they don't know the struggle
And
that
the
you had
cost.
and is currently having.
That's right. That's right. And that is so true.
Yeah.
And that's why. But you know, it is so true. And you know, the Gen Z and the Millennium, they cannot take
Yes.
much. They don't have the, I would say, the anointing for tolerance. They do
Or the
not tolerate
wherewithal.
all the wherewithal. They just, if it isn't working, they dump it.
Yes.
You know, so
No stickability.
none. So that is why we have to, the premarital has to be done. They have to understand what is included, why you get married, how you plan to make this relationship work, what are you willing to put into it, you know, all of these stuff they need to know, because from the outside looking
Yeah.
in it looks good, but when you get there,
Hmm.
it's something different. It's what you bring in, what
Yeah.
you're willing to put into it to make it work, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why we always see
Yeah.
green grass when we look at something else, eh? You always see green
Yes.
grass.
Yes. And that's the thing though. They focus in on the green grass, but they don't focus on the fact that the man getting up 5 o'clock every morning to water them grass, and nine
Uh-huh.
o'clock every night before he goes to bed, he watering them good grass. Then
Right.
then they don't focus on the fact that every other week he buying fertilizer to throw on the grass. All
That's
they
right.
saying is, boy, his grass greener than mine.
But
But if
there
you
is a
sacrifice
price.
like he's sacrificing,
That's right.
then your grass can be green too.
That's right. So it proves that it comes with a price. Are you willing to pay?
Yes.
Is the question.
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
willing to pay?
And
So
and another thing, and you mentioned on it, you touched on it earlier, is some people are willing to pay, but they are not mature to pay.
yes,
And what I mean by that, I want $1 million house right now. Alvin
right.
Hepburn is willing to buy $1 million house and live in $1 million house. However, Alvin don't have the money, the cost. Well,
To take
I don't
care of.
have the what will I say? The power to purchase.
Right. That's right. And
And that's where the maturity comes in.
it comes in there. And that is why we
Yes.
need the intervention of other persons, a counselor. When you hit that roadblock in that
Yes.
relationship and you don't know how to cross over, you need to seek professional help in order to get over
Yes.
that hump,
Yes.
because that lack of maturity, you haven't experienced it before, you don't know what to do, you don't know how we supposed to work this out. Seek professional help. But the sad thing there, Doc, is that not many people, especially men, wants that professional help. And that is where we encounter an even greater situation. One spouse may realize we have a problem here. Let's get this sorted out. The other one say, I'm not going to any come. So what then? If you're not willing to go, what then is the solution that you're bringing to make this thing or fix this situation? That is where we have a lot
Yes,
of
yes.
problems.
And
You know,
sometimes, Doc, um, when they come to us for counseling, it is too late
too late. Yeah.
because the little sore now
As,
has developed
and
into, has broken out into
yes,
save your life is amputation,
yes,
and that is sad because the infection has gone too far, and you have people who live for years and just let that stuff fester and
yes,
bottle up within them,
yes.
and what that do is just put a wedge between them and their spouse.
That's true. And being a
Yeah,
people
yeah.
or being a creature of habit, we like things to happen fast. And technology
Oh
and
yeah,
all
right
this
away.
bullshit, they have put us make it even worse for us. Everything has to work right away. So when you would have waited for a relationship to fester and not bring immediate healing, when it doesn't work quick enough, then there is a breakup. There could be a breakup, and everybody go their own way and feel as though it's hopeless. But even though it has gotten to that point, there is still a hope for those relationships. And I believe
Yeah,
we may have
yeah.
plenty of folks on the line listening today, and some of them have already gone their separate ways, though, and they feel that nothing can happen in this relationship anymore. I don't love her, I don't love him. I personally believe that love is still there. What is what is causing them to
Yes,
become bitter is unforgiveness and the fact that because that situation is not being resolved, then there seems to be a hate. But unless you go and get that
yes,
professional help, then things will begin to come together and you'll have a beautiful relationship. Sometimes it's better working on what
yes,
you have than go looking for a new one. Because when you go look for a new spouse, you have to learn all of their ways all over again. And chances are you could come up with the same roadblock as you had in the first one. So I would encourage persons, dog, that is going through what seemed to be an insurmountable amount of problem in their relationship, seem like there is no hope for this marriage. I would encourage that person to seek professional help. And I'm sure it can work. It can work.
yes, yes. It can. Yes, it can. And for those of you who are just tuning in to us, this is Dr. Maria MacDonald, and I am Dr. Alvin Hepburn. We are here on Love Bay Radio during this hour, the relationship and marriage hour, and we are discussing today the cause of marriage. And Doc, many people think, okay, once I didn't buy my wedding dress, once I didn't buy the rings, once I didn't buy my outfit, and we didn't spend money, go on honeymoon, then that's it. We good. We can live happily ever after. But boy, there is a cost that comes to living happily ever after. There is a
Sure.
price that has to be paid, and we talked about that in previous sessions where we talk about these are two different cultures coming in to form one new culture. And
Yes.
that takes time, that takes effort, that takes plenty patience and love in order to make that happen. And Dr. Miles Monroe tells us all the time that marriage is a God idea, therefore a good idea, and marriage is a perfect union between two imperfect beings.
That's
So
right.
those imperfect beings must work and keep on working until they get it right, and that's where the costs come in. And many
Yes.
people think, though, Doc, that the most expensive thing in the world is diamonds and
Yes.
rubies and gold. But the most
Yes.
expensive thing in the world is your time. Because once
Yes.
you lose that, you can't get that
Gone.
back.
Gone. That's it.
And that
That is
and
so
that's
true.
a great cause. So
Oh yeah.
when you invest your time, you better invest all of your time and make sure that the return is just as good as the investment or even greater.
Yes. 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 And that is so true. You have to make sure. And I'm thinking too about the cost. The cost is stressful. It comes with stress, though. It
Yes,
comes with stress.
yes.
You know, how much of that are we willing to? But you know what? We look at all what the cost is. But when you would have paid the price, then you get rewards.
The reward. Oh
That's
wow.
the benefit, the reward of it.
Yes. Yes.
You may have paid
Talk about it,
strength.
Doc. Talk about it.
You may have paid
Yes.
stress. You may have paid sleepless nights. You may have paid tears. All of these things you would have paid. But guess what? At the Once you would have paid them and stay your course, stay into your relationship because I want this thing work. It's not going my way right now, but I want this thing work. When you would have persevered and sacrificed, then there is going to be a reward that comes. And the reward is so, so beautiful. And I've heard so many beautiful story of relationship that went south and came back and it became the talk of the town because they would have paid the price. I believe I mentioned this before. There was this lady at the age of 80 or 78, but she was good age. She was married to her husband. Now, this one is not a good example, but I'm sharing this to show you that regardless of what price you pay, it's going to be rewarded. She was married, and her and her husband they separated. She got fed up because his attention was only to his family. Everything he did it was for his family. And if she called him and they called him, he was going to them before he come to her. So she got fed up
Oh
and
wow.
they separated. They divorced. She got married again. He got married again. And in a nutshell, his wife died. Her husband died. And guess what happened? They came back together. Believe it or not.
What?
And when they came back, she was blind. He was good age too. But love drew them back together, right? So there is a reward
Wow.
now. She made a tough decision. Then I have another
Hmm.
person I can share about. She was going through her time, and listen, we're not on this line believing that marital problem is just a light thing. It's not like there can be heavy
No, not at all.
situation. There can be hair wrenching, heart wrenching pain going on in relationships. But sometimes we just have to be patient enough, be willing to sacrifice for right now for the better tomorrow. Had a friend as well. She went through a lot of problem, infidelity. She went through it all. And she came to
Wow.
me for advice and she asked me, no, she didn't ask me. She told me, I am going to divorce him. So I prayed about it and I came back to her and I said, no, I say, I don't see divorce for you. Don't do it. She went to somebody else who gave her another advice and they told her to go ahead. She went ahead with divorce and that is not what she wanted. What happened later on down, she began to sweetheart her husband, but he was seeing somebody else. When they tried to get together, it was too late. You understand? So sometimes we
Yeah.
have to wait. We have to wait. She died heartbroken. She ended her relationship heartbroken. She divorced him, which she didn't want, but she figured if she do that, maybe. So sometimes we have to be willing to just be patient, sacrifice, And yes, it comes with some stress. Now there is a line. There is a line that one would draw when it's
Uh-huh.
that bad. Because in her case, I say if he's not hitting you, try work it. Now when there's abuse, then that's a different story. But
Yes. Yes.
it's a heavy cost, but I can tell you the reward is beautiful as well. Much better than the cost. Much rewarding.
Amen. Yes, powerful words, powerful words. And two, I like that, Doc. I like that. Yes, there's a cause, there's stress, there is turmoil, there is hardship, there's heartbreak, there's feelings being hurt. Oh, there is words being misunderstood. There is sometimes even in marriage you feel lonely. Sometimes even in marriage you feel forgotten about. Sometimes you wonder if it makes sense. But if you could weather the storm,
That's it.
if
That's
you
it.
could weather all of those different trials and tribulations
Yes.
and overcome them, oh man, the marriage goes to a new level.
Another level.
Um,
That's right.
yes, man. Yes. See, because people think that people are happily married because there is no troubles in the marriage. But people are happily married because they
They're
have
paying the
overcame
price.
the troubles
That's right. That's
that are
right.
in the marriage, and that they just overcame, they continue to overcome
Yes.
because the troubles don't just stop. There is no magic pill, no
No.
magic bullet, no magic formula that you can say to remove all stress and all forms of turmoil from a relationship. That just
That
does not exist
it does not. It does not.
because those things are needed to strengthen that love, to strengthen that trust, to strengthen that commitment. You need the hard times just as good as you need the not hard times. And when I think about it, think about what a tree goes through to become a tree.
That's
First
right.
of all, for the
Well,
most
no.
part, if it wasn't grafted, that tree was one time a seed.
Mm-hmm.
That seed that was planted in the ground, and that seed had to die.
Yes. Growing pain.
Then after that, germination happened,
Mm-hmm.
where life now forms and had to break the shell of the seed open for that seedling to come on out, and then it had to push its way. Man, this is rough times. It had to push its way through the soil,
Yes.
through the
Yes.
rock to get out,
Wow.
it could get to the sunlight. And then
That's
even when it gets to the sunlight, it needs rain, it needs water, it needs that water, it needs the proper nutrient, all of that stuff to help it grow. And
wow.
just like that tree that we have in the back of our yard that giving us shade, and how it's
Mm-hmm.
mango season here in the Bahamas, we go pick our mango and we eat that nice juicy mango. Man, you know what the watch this now. You know the hell that tree had to go through to get to that point to give you
Yes.
mango.
Yes. Wow. Now that's powerful. I like that example. That's powerful. That is powerful. You know,
Talk about it, dog.
I know we cannot appreciate it because we don't know, right? But I was just reading through something that says that the U.S. Census Bureau estimated that in the near future that the number of divorces will outnumber marriages.
Wow.
That's crazy. Simply because we cannot resolve. And the biggest enemy too, one of the other biggest enemies is conflict. We don't
Yes.
handle conflict well, especially in marriage. Though.
Uh-huh.
When we go through, we use a phrase often that this too will pass. We're saying it, but do we believe it? because we are going through
Yes.
something, and we may say, well, this too will pass, but yet we are acting out to what is happening. And everything that we may go through in life, there is always, like I would say, as long as we are human, there will always be conflict. Marriage has its share, just like everything else. So we need to be able to sit and talk, resolve our conflict. We cannot let divorce outnumber marriages. When we
Yes.
consider that marriage is one of the oldest institutions that God has given.
Yes. As established. Yes.
So we understand why it's now being, I don't want to say depleted, why it's being challenged so greatly, right? Because God has it's given it as to the people. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's for us, husband and wife, to procreate. And he said to multiply on the face of the earth. But
Yes.
times have changed. Things have changed.
Yes. Yes. And it's changed greatly. That people, we talked about at the beginning of the show, that people don't have that stickability.
No,
They,
no.
okay, you do what I want. You don't do it. I said it to you twice and you don't do it. I packing up my bags and I out.
Yes. Can't be that simple. Can't be that,
Yeah. Yeah.
trivial. you know.
Yeah. And the thing about it though, um, you you want someone to bear with you. Why you can't bear
With
with
that
the one
person.
you say you love?
That's right.
And if it took me 40 years to be the way I am, you telling me twice change that
Overnight.
is, yeah, that's not realistic.
No, it isn't. It's not.
But that's what they want.
And that is why we have to
Um,
sit down and have a conversation.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
When I was in St. Louis, we had at the church that I went to, we had a marriage ministry kind of conference, and there was this couple that were married for 67 years.
Wow.
At the time, they were married from 67 years, and all of my time in St. Louis, I admired that couple because boy, I was like, boy, only if I could get there. But the question was asked when we had the conference to the husband and wife, how y'all stay married so long? Give us the recipe, give us the formula.
Mhm.
And the woman said this. She said, "There's plenty forgiving here.
Wow.
You have to forgive a lot. Amnesia of them doing wrong.
Yes. Wow.
What you see up here, this is an overnight
Yes.
thing.
No, that's good. That's
This
good.
is years of suffering, but years of sticking it out and saying, I ain't going nowhere. We can make
Yes.
this work."
That is so true, though, because I know when I first got married, oh, wow. When I got upset, all the talking stopped. I stopped talking. I don't have anything to say. And that used to make my husband upset. I will not talk
Oh,
for
wow.
days. I will not talk for days. But
What?
when for days, but when I became mature enough and realized what I was doing and how it was affecting him, I had to stop it. I will not talk.
Yeah.
And if I'm upset, I will be all I'll do is suck my teeth all day. Every time I think about it, I suck my teeth. And
What?
he would say, "Well, what happened? Nothing." But that's because of my immaturity. I didn't know any
Yes.
better. But because of all
Yes.
that I've experienced in life in this marriage, I can now share with others and I can tell you what will work and what wouldn't work for the amount of years that I've put into it. But we can make it work. One of the first things we must do,
Yeah.
swallow our pride, dog.
Oh
Pride.
wow. That's a big one, Doc. Some
We
people
have to
can choke on trying to swallow that.
we have to swallow our pride because we always
Yeah.
want to be right. We always want to be right. Or he said this to me, so I am not accepting that. Sometimes people say things out of anger, dog. They don't mean it, but they just want to hurt you at that moment. Because I know I used to be
Yeah.
annoying and just to get me. There sometimes he said some things, it hurt me to the core. And I was ready to pack up plenty times. But
Yeah. Yeah.
as I grew and mature, then I realized that there's some things we got to suck up and keep moving. We have to suck it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And that is true. Go on.
yeah, no, those are some of the things that cause us, may not want to pay the price. When pride hit us, we're doing our own thing. We're
Yeah.
going our own way. It's no longer one. We become split two. You do your thing, I do
Yes.
my thing.
Yes.
Pride,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Which which makes no sense, Doc. Which makes
it
no
doesn't.
sense. Let me tell you why it doesn't make sense. Why when you were single, you was rushing to get married or rushing to get into a relationship. Now you in a relationship saying to the person, man, I don't need you all around me. I need my space. I need to feel like I see. Man, you were single having all your space.
That's it. That's it. That is why, and I go back to this point that I made. We need to know from them, why are you getting married?
Yes, yes, yes.
It, it could
Cause
be.
I remember
Mhm.
counseling. I remember counseling this couple, and the lady is like, he always around me. He won't let me be by myself. He won't let me be alone. All that kind of stuff. And I'm just listening to her talk and talk and talk. And then I said, and what's wrong with that?
Exactly.
Oh man, I need my space. I need to be by myself. Well, you was by yourself before you marry him, and then you
That's right.
came to me saying, "Did you want to get married? Why you want to be married and be single?"
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
he tried to change me. Wait, when you try to change me, change you. That's what
Right.
marriage do. And I preached at a funeral yesterday, doc, and I pointed out to the people that I said, listen, this is very simple but so profound.
Yes.
Changes bring changes.
Oh, yes. It does. It does.
Why
So
you
if you
why you want to change yet say the same? Make
and
that
stay
make
with
sense,
me,
dog.
doesn't make sense. I can't even equate that word. Change brings changes. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so if you don't want to change, then stay single. Change
Oh,
there has
stay
to be
as you
change.
are.
Yes, yes. So
Yes.
that's the problem.
Yes.
And if people would stop and just look at their whole picture, how can I make a difference here? What can I do now? What can I pay into this relationship now that will cause it to turn around? As long as you have
Yes.
trust, as long as you have patience, as long as you have love,
Mhm.
as long as you have forgiving spirit, you can make that marriage
Uh-huh.
turn around.
Yes. And as
It can
long
turn.
as you are willing to
Yeah,
communicate,
right.
you got to
Don't.
communicate.
That's right. That's right.
Because
And
as much as I love Tanya, I can't read her mind.
no, no. Communication is number one. At least it
Yes.
was for me.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. and
Because the
and
only way
that
you're going to, uh
go on, doc, go on.
the only way you're going to resolve the conflict, you have to talk.
Yes, yes. You have to be able to talk and talk it out.
Talk it out. Talk it
Yeah.
out.
And see, boy, that to me early in my relationship, that that course was rough there for me. I was not mature per se when it came to the communication piece, because I was like, boy, if I speak my truth, or if I speak it the way that I see it, Tanya may leave. And because I was afraid of her leaving, I allowed her to say and to do whatever she wanted to do, until one day, um, she said to me, she said, Alvin, I ain't gonna leave you though. If you can sit right there and say that on you, but I ain't gonna purge.
Yes.
I can say what on my mind, but if you want to say what on your mind, that on you.
That
What
on
she
you.
tell me that for? Why she tell me she ain't gonna leave, dog? Oh Jesus, that fair gone? Oh
And you
man.
talk. You talk.
I start opening up my mouth. I say, listen, listen, let me tell you how I feel now.
Yes, yes. Very
That
good.
that 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 now, from time to time, she jokingly says to me, "Boy, I should have never tell you that I wasn't gonna leave you."
Wow.
B, because two, we are not willing to pay the price for moving to the next level, because we are afraid that, boy, if I do, or if I communicate, or if I be me, this that may break the relationship. But you said something earlier where you said that love is a key,
Right.
and boy, once that love factor is there, that love will cover a whole lot of stuff.
A whole lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Doc, I wish some of our listeners would, send in their comments in respect to how communication is affecting their relationship in a good way or a bad way. Lack of communication
yeah,
or
yeah,
communication. Yeah. Because
yeah, yeah,
if you don't have the communication, then nothing else can work.
yeah, yeah.
You can't get to it because you have to talk. You
Mm-hmm.
have to talk. You know, you can bring in all the counselors that you want, unless that communication is rolling, or you know,
Yeah.
it's not
And
going to
and
work.
and then how do I know your likes and dislikes unless you communicate it to me?
Exactly. Exactly.
How do I know whether I'm doing what I'm supposed to do or not unless you communicate?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
pay the cost of relationship comes with you having to, you know, communicate. That's one of the main points.
yeah. And boy, doc, some of them communication, some of them sitting down talking, they
Mhm.
don't be easy.
No,
They don't be easy talks.
but see, that's the
But
good.
you got
That's the beauty of it.
it.
That's the beauty of it. Because as you
Yeah,
talk, you get things off your chest, and you begin to say, "Well, you did this, and I was not pleased," or "This is what you know." One thing I always tell them when you communicate, you be careful to say you. The minute you come with you make that person put up a defense. So what we need to do is, I don't like when you do this. That is what got me upset.
yeah,
But if you say, you make me
yeah,
get angry, oh Lord, the relationship. So there has to be a technique in how we communicate as well in order to get our point across.
yes. Yeah. So one of these days we'll do a session on conflict resolution, and we'll talk about those key verbiage that you should try to avoid or try to use when you're
Right,
coming up against conflict, and how they can help you want to be able to enhance the relationship, and what you need to do to better that communication piece and to do away with the conflict. And
That's right.
when I do my counseling, I say to the couple that's going to get married, um, there is only one outcome that you should seek, and that outcome is a win-win situation. If
That's
you have
right.
a win and a loss and a loss, all of them
Yes.
is the same thing. You've lost.
You've lost.
Both of you
That's
must
right.
be winners. If both
That's
of
right.
you aren't winners, then the relationship has lost.
In problem. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
That that's
and
that's
and
that's good.
yeah, and that brings us right round in circle to the bad word you use at the beginning. You got to be
Sacrifice.
able to make a sacrifice.
That's right. That's right.
Because sometimes you may be right, but you may have to give up your right so that the relationship does not suffer.
Yes. You know what? It would be good to see the percentages of the sacrifices persons are willing to make in a marriage. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how how willing are you to sacrifice at what level to make your marriage work?
Yeah, yeah,
Are you willing to
yeah,
sacrifice 10% to make that marriage work? Or are you going to stay? Because he's out of one, I ain't going over the one. You know, we like to measure up, right? If he's not giving
yeah,
100%, you will not give 100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which in marriage is not a 50-50 race. Marriage is 100%.
A
That's what
hundred
marriage
percent.
is. And
100%.
people say, "Oh, I can give my 50 and expect." No, you need to give 100, and he gives
Give
a
your,
hundred, and the marriage will be okay.
then it will be okay. Give your full
Even though,
100.
Doc, when you look at it, yes, even though when you look at it, a 30-watt bulb can only put out 30 watt of brightness.
Brightness, yes. And that's them.
100-watt bulb can put out 100 watt of brightness. But if
Yes.
that 30-watt bulb say, boy, because I ain't 100-watt bulb, I only can put out 15% or 15 watt worth of light, then you are not giving 100%.
You're not giving the 100.
Give 100% of your 30, and that's still 100%.
That's it. So then, Doc, do you think it's right for you to give 100% if your spouse is only giving 50?
It's not it's not fair, but because you have already committed, that's where the communication needs to happen, and that's where one of those tough conversations needs to be had.
Yes. Yes. Because I
Yeah,
also see that problem as well. Oh, my spouse is not doing this, so I am not going to do it. How about you doing your 100%
yeah,
and allow her to realize, not because she's not giving up 100 or she is not giving her his 100, that you shouldn't give your 100.
yeah, yeah.
That's another cost.
Boy,
You
and
still
that's
pay
another conversation, Doc. That's
another
another
conversation.
conversation too, because some person says, okay, I can only give as I see you give. But that's not what
Right.
love is.
No,
Love causes me to give, not expecting anything in return.
that's
Love
right.
causes me to give, and if you give, boy, that even makes it better.
Yes. Yes. And that's where
But Doc,
love is put to a
go
test.
and talk. Yeah,
That's when that's
yeah,
where love is put to a test.
yeah.
You know.
Wow. And that's why, boy, marriage and relationship is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the immature.
No,
It is
no.
for those who are matured, being more mature, because marriage and relationship will mature you to a greater
Oh
degree.
yes. Oh yes.
Um, and and marriage and relationship. If you was not a man before you get married, boy,
You will become
marriage
one.
have a way of beating you and making you one.
Making you one.
Yeah,
Yes.
same
Yes.
thing with a woman. If you were not
Yes.
a woman before you got married, boy, give
Yes.
it time.
Yes. Yes.
Give it.
And you're right. And you made a statement earlier, Doc, about you not wanting your children to go through the hard times that you did. This
Uh-huh.
is what the hard times is what will make them the person. It matter of fact, it's not so much them suffering, it's pulling out of them the qualities that are already in them. So that's why we have
Uh-huh.
to let them experience some things for themselves. And the same way with marriage. You go through some hard time, don't try to pull away from it, but lean to it and try to learn all that you can, become the best that you are in order to get the reward of a beautiful marriage.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and for those listening to us, we're in our final moments here at the Love Bay radio station, and this is the Relationship and Marriage Hour. We are your host, Dr. Maria MacDonald, and I am Dr. Alvin Hepburn out of Nassau, Bahamas, bringing you our broadcast today, and we are talking about the cost of marriage. And in our last couple of minutes, in our last few minutes, Doc, here's this question for you. Is the cost worth it as it
In one
relates to
word,
marriage? Is it worth it?
in one word, a thousand, no, one word I
Yes.
said yes. But I want to add a
Yes.
thousand times yes, because marriage is a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful thing. Everyone wants to feel love.
Yes.
Everyone wants to feel that someone cares about them. And sometimes
Yeah.
getting to that point is a bit difficult, but if you stay and pay the price, it will work. And then you will be so happy. You will be happy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, it is
I
worth it.
I would say the same, that the that the price that I have paid and continue to pay in marriage, the benefits far outweigh the cost.
Yes,
Um, and and to have somebody out there that you know have your best interests at heart, someone out there who have your back, who's there to support you with your dreams and your visions, your aspirations, someone out there who's there to be in your corner as your chairperson, and you are there to be there for them, man. You can't beat that. You can't
can't.
beat that.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
no,
Like like they say about the athletes who are running the marathon, that they tend to have family members put at strategic location so that when they pass in there, they can hear you scream out their name and say, "Run, Alvin, run, run, run!" And that gives you like extra energy and extra oomph that you can continue to move. Why? Because someone is there cheering you on, and
yes,
that's what marriage is.
yes, beautiful. So, that is so true. And so, for those marriages that are being challenged right now, Doc, I
Yeah,
would, we are not counselors, but we can speak from experience that if those persons continue to work it, communicate, love, forgive, it will work. It may take a while, it may take some time,
yes,
depending on how long you waited before you tried to seek help. But I can tell you it
yeah,
can work. Now, so one of some of the things we can look at is selfishness. We sometimes we have selfishness in marriage. We have to kick that one out too. And once we get rid of that,
yes,
we can handle the rest. If we
yes,
kick out
yes,
selfishness off,
yes,
we can handle the rest.
yes, 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 we can. And my encouragement to those listening to us is weather the storm. Storm don't last always. It comes
That's
and it
right.
goes. Weather the storm, and the sun is gonna shine, and it will be better for you and for the marriage if you do your best to stick it out
Yeah.
and to seek counseling, like Doc said, so that you and your spouse can have a better and a more healthier relationship and marriage. Until
Yes.
next time, Doc, closing words.
Well, you can make it. You can make it. And as I said before, take out selfishness and sacrifice, love, communicate, forgive. And those are the things that you can, they're the tools that you can make it work with.
Okay, good. And we'll stop right there. Those are powerful words, and we can pick it up later. Thank you for joining us today on Love Bay Radio show, the Relationship and Marriage Hour. We are your host, Dr. Maria MacDonald, and I am Dr. Alvin Hepburn here in Nassau, Bahamas. Have a great day and see you later. Bye
Bye.
for now.